All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get this party started, shall we? Yep, let's go ahead and get this started. Sorry about that. So yeah, turns out I got home early. You guys don't need to wait until 1. I don't need to wait until 1 in order to do this reaction. So let's go ahead and check this out. Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another One Piece chapter reaction and review. A lot of things were happening in the last chapter, so now it's time to see what happens in chapter 1039. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, to do a little bit of a recap in chapter 1038, that was Kid and Law versus Big Mom, and it pretty much ended with Law and Kid doing some serious damage to Big Mom, saying that, hey, I'd rather die than let you get up there to the roof. So that was going on. So now let's continue on with the next chapter, which, man, Kenzo really doesn't like the fact that we put him back in his crate away from everybody. Listen to him. He's got such an attitude right now. He'll get over it. He'll get over it. Just talk to my sisters. But now we're here on chapter 1039. So we have a whole color cover page. Good to see everyone here. Ogata-san, Kohagen, good to see you guys. We got a whole color cover page of the Straw Hats just in the jungle with what looks to be like a monkey directing them through the jungle. We got Robin here on one side. We have Usopp and pretty much everyone else. You can even see Jinbei. So they're just going through this jungle. Don't exactly have a description, but still. Chapter 1039, top billing, above Wano. And apparently it's Momonosuke saying, it's moving backward. Must get further from capital. I will not allow this thing to drop on the city. Huh? Is someone calling out to me? Okay, so Momonosuke's efforts is actually working. As hard as this is for Momonosuke, he's slowly but surely pulling Onigashima away from the flower capital. It's actually working. Performance floor inside the dome. And this is the same area where Kid used his punk Koro Dio in order to ram directly into Big Mom and knock her into a nearby wall. And now the people are all awestruck over this, saying, Big Mom got knocked off her feet! Big Mom's not down for the count, is she? Please, no, not to them! And then we have Law's crew, and we have Kid's crew saying, way to go, boss! And then Law's crew saying, Captain! I can take this off now, because your boy got his hair cut. And then it has Big Mom, as it sees the whites of her eyes, and she's, reeling from getting hit with shock will by Law and getting rammed by Kid. And then there's Kid saying, that's got to be hurting the old hag now. And then Law's in the background saying, hey, Eustace, time for round 2. And then Law also says, you just had to do your big fancy attack right after mine to make it look like you were the winner. And then Law, there's still this rivalry. The rivalry between Law, Kid, and Luffy is still present, even if Luffy's not even there. And Law says, I'm not your opening act. And then Kid says, who cares about that? It's not important right now. And then it just has Law and Kid just arguing back and forth while Big Mom's starting to get up. Law saying, if you really think so, then you go first next time. Put a real big hurt on her. Put a real big hurt on her. Then I can finish the job. Don't tell me what to do. The ultimate attack I've got up my sleeve is the one that'll finish that hag. Oh yeah? What comes after the bull? A hippo? An elephant? Shut up like I tell you my secrets. And then it has some of the Beast Riders saying, look at Big Mom's arm. And then Big Mom slowly says, a shockwave from the inside. Oh my goodness! Yo! Not only did Big Mom get shocked from the inside, but Kid's Punk Cornelio broke her arm. It snapped in the middle before the wrist. This is... Big Mom's got bones broken, with her saying, "A shockwave from the inside. Feels like I cracked some ribs, too. Gotta watch out for Trafalgar's moves. They're dangerous. Here, I'll give you life. Come back to me, Bones." And I guess she uses her soul ability to heal her arm. And then it says, then I guess the soul that she uses says, "Yes, Mama. Yes, Mama." Mama! And then she gets reinvigorated with power again, and her arm gets healed again. What? And then it has Law and Kid still going back and forth, with Law saying, "I'm going to be honest with you. No jokes. The next round's going to be the last one for me. I won't have any strength after my next attack, but I guarantee you it won't miss. So I need you to... I just told you not to give me orders." And then Big Mom says, "Prometheus! Napoleon! Hera! Here we go." "Yes, Mama." "Mazer Saber!" And, okay, so we already seen her Mazer Cannon, which was used to defeat Ulti. Well, now she's able to channel it completely with Napoleon and turn it into a sword. Channel Mazer Cannon into Mazer Saber, and in the process, she slices completely through. She slices completely through Kid's Cornelio. Just completely. And then Kid just says, "That's nothing. This is just scrap to begin with." And Big Mom says, Mama, "You're wrong. You're nothing. The time for dreaming is over. Listen up, you brats. We've sunk hundreds of people just like you into the sea. We've been reigning as emperors for decades, since the days before you were weaned off your mother's milk." Wow, so she's just basically saying that she's been a Yonko since before any of them have ever been born. If any of us were kind of wondering how long the whole Yonko thing has been active, literal decades. Like, how long have the Yonko actually been around? She gives us a little bit of a rough idea. For literal decades. How many decades? Still unknown. But she says, "We've been reigning as emperors for decades, since the days before you were weaned off your mother's milk." And she clashes with Kid, and she clashes with Kid, and he uses his awaken abilities. Where he says, "A sign! S," and then there's like an S symbol, the letter S that appears on Big Mom's forehead, and then he assigns another spot to N. He says S, N, and in the process, Big Mom gets massively attracted and yanked towards the spot where he marked with N. And then it shows Big Mom being just flat out pinned to this spot, with her saying, I can't get loose. Mama, look out!" And it shows another Punk Cornelio directly in front of Big Mom. And it just rams. It rams into where Big Mom was supposed to be, but apparently she stood up and yanked the piece of the wall that she was attached to off from its foundation in order to have that take the hit. And she flipped it around. She was stuck to this wall magnetically because of Kid's awakened devil fruit power. But she uses her own strength to yank that wall out from its foundation and use it as a shield to keep herself from being massively hit by it. What? She stood up, tower and all. And Kid says, "That's just ridiculous." And then Big Mom looks directly at him saying, "Why would you put all this extra weight on my back?" And then she says a brand new move. I think it's a brand new move. She says, "Mother's Visit Cannon." 3,000 leagues of misery! And wow. And then everyone is saying, run for your life! And this Mother's Visit cannon, 3,000 Leagues of Misery, produces, I don't know if this is fire or if this is electricity, but this looks to be, it makes like a enormous visage of Mother Caramel, which slams its hand directly down onto Kid. Big Mom just created Mother Caramel to use as an attack against her enemies. Is this electric? It looks like a combination of her Maser cannon, but it's given full life because it's actually moving on its own. Because there are people saying, huh? It's moving. Her attack. It's alive? Mama! Keep going, Misery. Destroy those little... And before she even finishes, it shows another platform just falling directly onto the head of Big Mom, starting to plummet on the head of Big Mom, as it turns out that Law is using tact to just cause the pillar to fall down on her. And the only way we know he's able to use tact onto something to cause it to fall down on people is if he's using his room. Does this mean that Law has created a room around where Big Mom is in order for him to tack something onto her? Because that's the only explanation. And it crashes directly onto Big Mom. It crashes directly onto Big Mom. And there's a massive explosion, and it shows the tower. It shows the tower falling directly down on Big Mom. And then it shows Law jumping up, and it shows him using Kroom again. Now remember, this is Law saying that his next attack will be his last one that he'll be able to pull off during this fight. He uses Kroom on Kikoku, and it shows him landing directly onto Big Mom with his whole sword going into Big Mom, with Big Mom saying, "Not you again, Trafalgar!" And apparently, he has extended his... Oh my goodness! He has used Kroom to extend his sword all the way, not only through Big Mom, not only through the performance floor, but straight through Onigashima into Wano below. This dude has gained Ichimaru's Bankai. This is what Kroom is. It's Kamishimi no Yari. He uses Kroom to extend Kikoku all the way through Big Mom down to the ground. And it shows it going straight into the underground armory with Yamato looking like, what the heck is this? And then it shows Onigashima above Wano. It shows his sword going all the way down to the ground. And then... I can't tell if this is Kid saying this or if this is Law saying this. And who is this saying this? This Big Mom? No, this has got to be, this is Big Mom saying this. Because apparently she's trying to beat up on Law, who's directly on her. And she's saying, "So you think you're hot stuff, do ya? You don't want to let go? Huh, Trafalgar?" And then it shows Law's crew just looking at him saying, "Oh, Captain!" And as he's getting beat on by Big Mom, he's thinking, "Not yet. Must go deeper." "What's wrong? Give up the ghost already?" "What are you doing, Captain? Get away from her! You're going to die!" And it shows Law still holding on to Big Mom. And then he grips his sword, and he doesn't say shock will. He says, "Puncture." "Huh? No, don't! Puncture will!" Yo. Oh my goodness. Yo. Bruh! He uses this move called Puncture Will, and this isn't like shockwaves and electric shocks going through Big Mom and then causing an enormous electrical explosion. Whatever this move is specifically, it causes, I don't know, reverberations or whatever. It causes reverberations that his sword went deep into the ground of Wano. The shock of this caused the entire area where his sword was embedded to massively erupt. The ground just implodes from whatever this move does. And Big Mom was on the receiving end of it, because it shows shockwaves going through his sword like wisp of smoke, and then the clouds are kind of parting, and then the ground just splits open from this puncture will. And there's a massive crater. There is a massive crater in the ground of Wano right now. You can see the mountains of Wano, but you also see this giant gaping hole in the ground. And Big Mom is just absolutely beset by this attack. I know that's a big word, but she's just like screaming. She's just like, in pain. And she's coughing. And it shows an enormous hole where she was laying on that has gone completely through Onigashima all the way. So much that even Momonosuke is wondering, where did that giant hole come from? And then Yamato's looking everywhere that his sword went through. Everyone is looking at where the hole went through, with Yamato saying, "What's with that hole?" And then it has Big Mom saying, "Burn him to death, Misery!" And then it has Misery saying, "Yes, Mama," as this facsimile of Mother Caramel bears down on Law. And then Law says, "Do it! Use this!" And then, all of a sudden, Kid comes in with a giant gun. And then Big Mom says, "What is that?" And then Kid says, "How many times do I have to tell you, Trafalgar? You don't give me orders." Yo, Kid is rolling up to Big Mom with a giant railgun. That's a giant railgun. That's a giant railgun. And then it shows Kid looking down at Big Mom, and it shows Law smiling, which you don't see often. You do not see Law smiling all that often. Last time we saw Law smiling was when he was saying the D, I honestly believe that the D will cause another storm to erupt again, right when he was fighting Doflamingo in Dressrosa. That's how far back I remember him smiling. And he's having the same type smile when he was confronting Doflamingo here. And it shows Big Mom saying, "You rats!" And then it shows Kid charging up his gun. And it shows Big Mom saying, "Give me all you've got then. You think you can beat me? I'm Big Mom!" And Kid says, "And that's why we're getting rid of you. You darn punk!" He says something else, but he shoots Big Mom directly. And it shows Big Mom screaming out. And Kid saying, "Darn punk, your era is over!" And that's the end of the chapter. Yo. Is this the defeat of Big Mom? Are we seeing the defeat of Big Mom right here and now? Bruh. Yo, Colegio coming in with the super chat. Glad I could enjoy the stream live. This chapter is now one of my favorite in Onigashima. It's a standard size railgun. Kid finally getting creative. Like oh my goodness. Like, we need to talk about this chapter real quick. Yo! So hold on. I hope we got some information about this new Soru Soru no Mi ability. like this 3,000 leagues of misery from Big Mom. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Hikoku, Fulgora, Cognac, Mazerho, Mazer Raid, Mazer Saber. Yes, we have a description. So, first and foremost, we got a new move from... Let's just go through this whole chapter. This continues the fight of Big Mom versus Kid and Law. And we see a new move from Law, and we see that Big Mom is just incredibly difficult to defeat. As we see Kid and Law going back and forth, like, even though they're fighting a Yonko right now, they're still arguing right now due to the fact that, like, hey, I'm not your opening act. I was supposed to be... they're arguing over who attacked last to make it seem like, okay, I'm the one who did this big attack to Big Mom, so I'm the winner for this contest. Their rivalry is still going strong, even still during this fight, because they don't like the fact that, hey, you got the last hit in, so it makes it seem like I was the one softening her up for you, but you got the big blow at the end. That is like they're arguing over who attacked first or who attacked last. After Kid did his Punk Cornodio on Big Mom. And then it turns out that Punk Cornodio actually did some substantial damage to Big Mom, because not only was she hit with Law's Shock Will beforehand, but with the Cornodio, I'm calling it Cornodio. It should be Cornodio, correct? His Cornodio, and he winds up breaking some of Big Mom's ribs and even breaking her arm. But she uses her soul ability to heal her arm again. And I'm pulling up Kid's Devil Fruit, and apparently his darn punk, it has another name at the front because I don't use profanity or anything like that, but darn is the closest I can get to it. But that's actually the name of his attack. But Punk Cornodio, not Cornodio. I was saying it incorrectly this entire time. Please forgive me for that. Cornodio. Cornodio? If Doflamingo met Law, now he's going down. It's crazy. Hunger Pangs 1040. Let me just see what y'all said from the very beginning. Let me just acknowledge Ogata-san, Kohagen, Psycho, CJ, Muddy, Neil Johnson, Collegio with the super chat. Appreciate that, by the way. Johnny, everyone. Even Monkey D. Luffy showed up. Even Karma. Big Mom being defeated is crazy. Exactly. It's crazy. Did we ever think we were going to come to this moment where we would see Big Mom get KO'd? Did we ever think we would reach this point? Did we think it was possible? So much for Luffy coming back to defeat Big Mom like Katakuri was expecting him to. Law and Kid did that for him. But going through this chapter, we got to go through this chapter. It's going to be, I'll spend a couple of minutes talking about this chapter, and then I'll do My Hero Academia, and then I'll do my reaction to the One Piece episode for today. Because I got some farming to do on Devil May Cry before I do my next stream for tomorrow. But her arm gets broken, and she uses her soul ability to heal her arm, and she powers up again. Then she uses a move called Mazer Saber. Now, Mazer Saber is just like her, is basically kind of like her Mazer Cannon. So the description here says, another combined attack by Hera, Prometheus, and Napoleon. Instead of firing a beam like Mazer Cannon, the homies form a continuous blade of energy which Big Mom can utilize by wielding Napoleon. It was first used to cut Kid's Metal Bull clean in half. See, this is the one thing, this is another reason why it makes me upset that they stopped supporting Pirate Warriors 4. Because we could have gotten an updated moveset. For a lot of these characters like Mazer Saber being used, Mazer Cannon, and all these different moves that she's used. We could have got that in Pirate Warriors 4. Now we have to wait for Pirate Warriors 5 in order for us to see this. But Mazer Saber is basically Mazer Cannon, but it's turned into a blade rather than it being a laser. And then as she uses Mazer Saber, cuts clean through the bull, but Kid doesn't care because it's a metal bull. It doesn't affect him at all. It's just scrap. He can just rebuild it. That's the crazy thing. Even though Big Mom sliced his bull clean in half, he can just reconfigure it and rebuild the bull again. Because it's just metal. And then Big Mom goes on saying, listen up, you brats. We've sunk hundreds of people just like you into the sea. We've been reigning as emperors for decades, since the days before you were weaned off your mother's milk. And it shows Kid using his Jiki Jiki no Bi, and now we get to know how his assign works, because we saw him use assign, but we never saw the specifics of it. And now we have a better example here, because we know that S or N, like South or North poles, like South Pole or North Pole, like the magnetic poles of the world. When you think about it, the South magnetic pole or the North magnetic pole. So S and N is what he uses to attract two objects together with a sign. He uses a sign and he hits Big Mom with S, South magnetic pole, and he hits a wall with N for the North magnetic pole, and need to leave soon. Glad you could stick around for a while. I'm going to need to buy a Law t-shirt to commemorate this chapter. I might need to get myself a Law and Kid t-shirt as well. Big Mom's speech was great, by the way. It was, because it gave me a rough idea, like, wow, they've been Yonkos for literal decades. Who knows when the Yonko were actually first formed, but her talking about it, we don't hear them talking about how long they've been Yonko. That's the thing. We hear about the Yonko. We hear about how powerful they are, but no one really talks about how long they have been Yonko. Even if it's just a passing short sentence, we really don't hear that much about it. So for Big Mom to say, like, we've been reigning as Yonko for literal decades, who knows? The question now is what the Big Mom Pirates will do, since they have her Viva card, unless Pero has it, like Kid's North and South power. Yeah, it's crazy. So the description of a sign is like this. Kid touches a foreign object or person and thereby turns them highly magnetic. Upon assigning magnetism to a target, they will display an S or an N somewhere on their surface, depending on what kind of magnetic pole Kid turned them into. Just confirming what I said. Objects with different assigned poles will then attract themselves to each other and stick together. First used against Big Mom, the technique caused Napoleon to be stuck to her head. Later on, Kid showed the complete application of the technique by sticking Big Mom to one of Onegashima's live floor structures. And then, of course, we know about Punk Clash, because we saw how he used it against Big Mom with the metal beams that she turned into homies beforehand. We already saw that. But he attracts Big Mom to a wall and tries to use Cornadillo on her again, but with her monstrous strength, rips the structure out of its foundation and uses that structure to shield herself from being hit by Kid again. And then Big Mom uses a move called Mother's Visit Cannon, which is basically it's the whole name. Mother's Visit Cannon, 3,000 Years of Misery. This is a sub-ability of her Mazer Saber. Big Mom creates a giant female homie made of flames and lightning, because I couldn't tell if it was lightning or flames. It's both. So it's basically this big homie made of flames and lightning called Misery. Now, if I pull up Misery is a homie created by Big Mom as an attack on Onigashima. She is formed from the Mazer Saber combination of Prometheus, Hera, and Napoleon. Takes the form of a giant genie-like woman composed of flames and lightning. She has long flowing hair, a pointy nose, and sharp nails. Lightning forms bracelet-like circles around her wrists, and the bottom half of her body is one long tail without legs, because it's connected to the Mazer Saber. The kanji in her name means 3,000 Leagues, a reference to the Japanese anime series 3,000 Leagues in Search of Mother. The standard reading is Sanzenri, but Misery's name uses alternate meanings to form misery, Mizeri. But I feel it really does remind me of Mother Caramel's face, or it's just a combination of all of her homies' faces combined into one, and that's it. But going forward from here, she uses this move called Misery. Now, going back to it, Big Mom creates a giant female homie made of flames and lightning called Misery. The homie can then act independently and pursue its target. And the whole name is called Bahoho Misery, but the English name is Mother's Visit Cannon, 3,000 Leagues of Misery. And she uses that to slam directly onto Kid. Then it shows Law, showing why the dude is just straight broken. We need to pull up this Ope Ope no Mi to see what Puncture Will is, because he used a brand new move that basically bored a hole straight through Onigashima, straight through the basement where Yamato was, and straight into Wano itself, leaving a gigantic, it's dark in the hole that he made, okay? It's dark. It might as well be a bottomless pit, or like an endless pit. Almost endless pit, because it's just dark. You don't see the bottom. It's just a giant gaping hole in the ground. So, if I go to his awakening, and go down here, he uses his Kroom and then Anesthesia to puncture directly into Big Mom, but he's directly on her. He's not using his sword to go through a piece of Big Mom. He's directly on top of Big Mom right now. And he causes his sword to go all the way down to Wano itself. And he uses a move called Puncture Will. And what Puncture Will is one of Law's most destructive techniques. Law positions himself on top of a down target and pierces them with Kikoku, pinning their bodies down to the floor as his sword continuously extends downward and phases through the ground or whatever is in its way. Waya was able to go through Onigashima, go through the armory, and both Momonosuke and Yamato are like, what the heck is this? Once Kikoku reaches a certain depth, Law releases a powerful shockwave that implodes everything solid pierced by the blade, causing massive damage to living beings and creating holes on rocky surfaces. This move was strong enough to cause a massive crater near the Flower Capital and was first used against Big Mom. It's not an electric shockwave, it's just a pure shockwave that implodes. How crazy is that? A shockwave that implodes. So while we've seen that what effect Shock Will has on Big Mom, and it electrifies her insides, and we've seen what Countershock does to someone like Doflamingo, and Gamma Knife does to the insides of Doflamingo, he basically just sent a puncturing shockwave going straight through Big Mom, imploding her from the inside. And that's not even the final hit that even hits her. Impressive show of abilities in this chapter. Right. See, these moves make me so upset that Pirate Warriors 4 didn't seek to just continuously update the movesets of certain characters. Because imagine what Puncture Will would be like in gameplay form. It's crazy how we're seeing all these new things. Really hope Law has Conqueror's Haki. Imagine what Puncture Will would be like coded in Conqueror's. Would be cool not to extend his sword that much. It's unnecessary. I mean, how is it unnecessary? if you're worried or concerned about what effect it has on his sword, I mean, the Ope no Mi pretty much makes it so that anything unnecessary still has its uses. I feel it's entirely necessary to display just how powerful that technique was. And the fact that many of us kind of were wondering, okay, he can stretch his sword, how far can he stretch it? Well, apparently this chapter pretty much just confirmed what many people were probably thinking. It can stretch all the way from the sky down to the ground. It was entirely necessary for him to stretch his sword out that far. It was entirely necessary. Unnecessary to extend his sword that much. It was entirely necessary. Because that basically means that if Law masters his Kroom ability and masters his Awaken ability, he doesn't have to be near you for him to hit you. He could just extend his sword out to you and get you. That's scary. Probably that consumes energy. I mean, he did say that this last attack was going to be the last one. He did say it was going to be his last attack that he would use. Probably that consumes energy. Why? I figure, here's the thing, Kohagen. It may seem unnecessary to us out on the outside looking in, but to many of us who want, to me specifically, it makes perfect sense that he would just go to the absolute limit. Just to not only show off, but hit Big Mom in that instance and show that, hey, this is as far as I can go, but let me just go as far as I can for this last attack. So he just hits Big Mom, goes all the way through her, and goes all the way through the ground. Was it completely necessary for Luffy to completely crater in a giant portion of Dressrosa when he defeated Doflamingo? No. And none of us complained about it. Same deal right here. Was it completely necessary for him to extend his sword all the way through Big Mom, through Onigashima, into the deepness of Wano, and then cause everything along the way to explode? No. But it still looked good. Same thing is applied here. I get to extend his sword to reach someone, but he stabs Big Mom and then extends his sword all the way to the land. Oda has to display to us just how overpowered these abilities are. Just to show you just how powerful this attack was. Because if he just used it on Big Mom, we probably would have thought, okay, this is just him using Shock Will, but he's just causing her to implode from the inside. This is to represent what is happening. This was meant to Kohagen. This was meant to represent to us what exactly happened inside of Big Mom. What happened on Wano is what happened in the Big Mom. This is Oda's way of showing us this is how powerful this technique is, and that's what Big Mom is getting hit by. This was to let us know, this was to give us a good comparison of how powerful this attack was. Because Shock Will, sure, it electrified her from the inside. But she was still able to get up from it. And we all thought, like, okay, this is a very good move. She keeps getting up, but this is a very good move. This Puncture Will was to show us that this goes beyond. This goes beyond Shock Will. And the fact that it left a giant gaping crater into Wano's mountain range. This was to give us a display of just how powerful this technique was. So it was entirely necessary for it to be displayed that way. And just like Neil Johnson said, necessary to go all out on Big Mom. Do you really think Law can pull his punches at all? Definitely necessary. You have to go over the top in order to take on the Yonko. You have to. You would have pierced Big Mom and made the shockwave continue down to the land. How else would you have seen how powerful the shockwave was in the resounding surrounding area then? What's the conversation right now? Just talking about whether or not, like Kohagen is saying that he feels that it was unnecessary for Law to extend his sword all the way down there. I say it was necessary to display just how powerful the technique was in order for it to show just how effective it was on Big Mom. But that's my opinion. But he uses Shock Will and just sends a massive shockwave going through the sword that hits Big Mom, and shatters a ginormous area of Wano's mountain range in the process, leaving a giant gaping hole in the process. And as that's being done, Big Mom uses Misery to try and take down Law, because Law's down. That was the last time he's going to use that attack, or any awakened attack for that matter. That's the last, because he's huffing and puffing right now. We already know that awakened abilities tax him greatly, so he's down. But Kid comes in, and he has a giant railgun, which is called Darn Punk. Kid's self-proclaimed ultimate attack, Kid utilizes a large amount of metal to construct an enormous railgun, which he then uses to fire an electromagnetic projectile beam at the target. It was first used against Big Mom, causing significant damage to her. So Kid basically just created a giant railgun and shot Big Mom point blank. And that's where the chapter ends. And she says this, give me all you got then. You think you can beat me? I'm Big Mom. That's pretty much the last significant thing a character is going to be able to say in a fight, when he says, like, when they have to remind you of who they are. You can't defeat me. I'm Big Mom. You'll never defeat me. I'm Syndrome. And then that's the last thing they say before they're just utterly defeated. Now, it remains to be seen if Big Mom actually is down. Like, if her soul abilities die off and her souped up powerful form just expires, then Law and Kid did it. But we're going to have to see the next week. Reminds you of Gin from Bleach? That's exactly what it is. Technically, it is unnecessary since he doesn't need to extend his sword that much just to hit her, but it's a cool move, and now we know he can do that. I mean, I still go on the angle of it was entirely necessary for him to go all the way down into the ground for us to see just how powerful the technique is. Because if it can blow a gigantic hole in the ground of a surrounding area, imagine what it's doing to the body of Big Mom. That's what that was for. I see it as necessary, because it would have been tricky for us to gauge just how powerful the attack was on Big Mom had it not been shown what happens when it's done against something else. That's how I feel about it. But everyone has their right to their opinion. I'm not going to say you're wrong about whether or not you felt it was unnecessary or not. It's just that's just how I feel on it. Still love you, though. Railguns always take me back to Vandal Savage and Justice League Unlimited firing meteors down on the ground. You know what I remember? I remember when in G.I. Joe, what was it? G.I. Joe Retaliation, when they were talking about Zeus, that big satellite where they just drop this big metal tungsten pillar, and the force of that just hits directly into the ground, and it pretty much destroys London, which is kind of ridiculous how they just destroyed London so casualty in that movie. That's kind of what it reminds me of. It wasn't necessary to display that power, but they showed it off just to show that, yeah, this is what this can do. Been changing your oil in the garage the whole stream. That's how long it took you to change it while being distracted. Anime fella, I was happy to distract you so that it doesn't seem like it was taking you a long time. You wonder what CP0 is doing right now. There are still things to cover. There are still loose ends to tie up. Raizo versus Fukuro Kuju, that's still going on, and they'll probably just be still standing there on fire. Wonder if Big Mom is out now, because I don't see her having a big role in the future, but Luffy said he wants to beat every Yonko, so I don't know. I don't know either. Like, remember the conversation? The CIA's paper on that from the 70s called them rods from God. But if we remember, Katakuri was asking Luffy if he was going to defeat Big Mom the next time he came back to Whole Cake Island, and Luffy's all like, yes, I'm going to defeat her. But here we are in this chapter 1039, and it looks like Luffy may not get that chance. That's how it kind of looks to me. But with this chapter, Kid fans and Law fans are definitely eating good. Oh yeah, they eating good. And then we got Kid learning how to create a railgun, like a full-on railgun. Because unlike guns that require big points of ammunition that he has to constantly shoot out, his railgun basically is the perfect epitome of his power. Because his powers are centered around magnetism and electromagnetism, and a railgun is nothing short of a gun that uses electromagnetism in order to fire. So this gun, this darn punk move of his, is the perfect epitome of what his Jiki Jiki no Mi is. And this is him not having mastered it. They're both still getting used to using their devil fruits. So this is the extent of what Law and Kid can do while they're still trying to get used to their awakening. That's scary when you think about it. These are two people who are still getting used to their awakening, and they've done this much damage to Big Mom. Big Mom has suffered internal electroshocks. She has suffered shock waves imploding inside of her body, and she has suffered broken bones and even a couple of ribs as well. Let me say that again. Big Mom has had her arm broken and some ribs cracked and broken as well. Had it not been for her soul ability, she would have suffered far more damage than Kaido. Of course, that's saying that as if the puncture will wasn't already doing enough damage to her as a whole. All I can say was this was a great chapter. It got me out my seat. And I haven't been out of my seat reading some of these chapters for a very hot minute. It would be cool if Kid would use Haki, or even better, Conqueror's Haki with his railgun. That's only if he can learn on the same level as Luffy. Luffy learned how to use Conqueror's coding with his attacks because he's a very adaptable fighter. That's the edge that Luffy has over Kid when it comes to their Conqueror's Haki and their usage. Now, we have yet to see Kid actually use Conqueror's Haki at all. We know he has it, based on word of mouth by Kaido, but we've never seen him use it. So I feel like it may take him longer to learn how to use Conqueror's coding with his attacks, like Luffy, because Luffy is a fast learner. So it might be a while before Kid can learn how to use it, or if he ever learns to use it at all. Remember, it's a very finite number of people who know how to use Conquerors with their attacks. So we'll just have to see where Kid goes from here in terms of him learning how to use his powers even more. All I can say is that the once thought to be invincible Big Mom was getting them hands thrown at her. Can we just say that? Big Mom was getting manhandled in this chapter. Every single time she tried to do something overly significant that made it seem like she had the upper hand, Law and Kid kept coming back with something even far more damaging. They gave Big Mom the business in this chapter. She was catching them hands like, my goodness, that was such a good chapter. Such a good chapter. It was good, okay? It was a good chapter, all right? Zoro uses coding. Yes, he does. But this was a good chapter. This was a really good chapter, and I enjoyed it. I just want to. I gotta end my stream here because the family came home with the pizza, and I'm gonna eat that after I'm done reading My Hero Academia. But before I do my reaction to the One Piece chapter, this was a good chapter. This was a really, really good chapter. I wonder what Roger and the rest of them have to say. I wonder what they think of this chapter. Honestly, does this mean both of them could take an admiral? I mean, who knows? Because they only send admirals after Yonkos. And if Law and Kid defeat a Yonko, does that mean they're admiral level? Or able to, or above admiral level? Oh, I'm going to eat my pizza after I do my Hero Academia reaction. I'm going to do that directly after I'm done here. But wow, this was a great chapter. It was so good. I'm still so upset that I won't be able to see some of this updated movesets in Pirate Warriors 4. Maybe we will in Pirate Warriors 5, but so much. Am I going to do My Hero Academia stream today? Of course I am. Yeah, I always do it the same day. It's not like I only do one chapter on Sunday and then do it the next day. If there's a new chapter out today for One Piece and My Hero, then I do them both on the same day. You should know me better than this, Johnny. You should know me better than this. But we're just going to have to see where the story goes from here. We are not going on, after a chapter like this, we're not going on break. Let that sink in. We're getting another chapter next week. If we don't go on break. Pirate Warriors 5 not going to do them justice. Not if they build Pirate Warriors 5 like they did Pirate Warriors 4. If they built it like Pirate Warriors 3, then yeah, I'm pretty sure they could do it justice. But not if they go up piggyback of what they did with Pirate Warriors 4, then no. But that's just my 2 cents on Pirate Warriors. I'll get off that soapbox. You guys know how much I like Pirate Warriors as a series, but kind of was disappointed with Pirate Warriors 4. Let me get off that soapbox, otherwise I'll keep going. But that's all I got for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and end my reaction here. Luffy and Law combined. Yonko level confirmed. Go Power Rangers. Law use puncture. Will go Power Rangers. Kid use day railgun. Go Power Rangers. The end of Big Mom Power Rangers. Let me stop. My Hero Academia and One Piece were GOAT this week, both of them. I can't wait to read the next chapter of My Hero Academia then. Don't get my hopes up too much. How am I doing? Sorry for asking over and over. I keep zoning out. It's fine, Muddy. I saw you say that earlier. Way earlier at the beginning, and I just haven't said anything about that. Muddy, I'm doing great. Got my head shaved. I feel good. I'm just very thankful. I'm just very thankful that I'm able to do what I love here. You guys don't even know. I love this. I love this. I absolutely adore this. And aside from these Russian bops that keep popping in every single second, I love every single aspect of what I do. It is absolutely amazing that the talents that I have are being enjoyed by someone other than myself. I never thought that I would be doing this, but here I am. And I have people, lots of people who enjoy what I do. It is a very, very, very heartwarming thing for me to do what I love to do and know that people actually like it. So whenever I get up here on this platform, holding this mic, looking at you guys through my camera, I enjoy myself. And I'm brimming with pride that I have something that I can call my own, and I enjoy it. So I just want to say thank you for liking me, for loving me, for enjoying what I do. Thank you. This channel would not be as successful as it is right now if it wasn't for people like you. Not viewers like you, people like you. I just want to say thank you. You guys mean the absolute world to me. Not just your viewership, but the companionship and camaraderie that we have. Thank you. And I'll never be able to say it enough. But that's all I got. Time to move on to My Hero Academia so I can have myself a couple of slices of these New York-style pizzas that my sister's got. New York-style meat lovers pizzas, that is. I can't wait to eat it. But that's all I got. You're the GOAT. You know that always for sure and no doubt. Muddy, you are too kind. You are too kind. I'm just humbled by this channel's success and that I'm able to do something that people can enjoy. I'm just humbled by it. So, that's all I got. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing or maybe even consider becoming a member because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. On to My Hero. God, good God, I love my job.